Hello and welcome to Barrow Hill Roundhouse near Chesterfield in Derbyshire. My name's Chris Milner, and for the next 4 days I shall be winding down as editor of Railway magazine, ready to hand over to my colleague Paul Bickerdyke, who will be taking on the editorship. You're welcome to it, Paul.
Thanks, Chris.
So, are you looking forward to the challenge?
Oh, very much so, yeah. I mean, Railway magazine is the top magazine, so I'm really looking forward to getting stuck in and carrying on your good work.
Well, a lot of my good work does stem from my predecessor, Nick Pygott, admittedly, but I think the magazine has set a standard that everybody likes to try and adhere to, and the readers know what we like, and we know what they like, so we obviously try and give them, a dose of that every month.
Yeah, because it's a great mix of everything, really, isn't it? There's steam, diesel, electric, mainline, preservation,
trams,
narrow gauge,
heritage trams,
everything.
Narrow gauge. Yeah, it's a very, very eclectic mix, isn't it? All the way across.
So, which was your first issue as editor?
My first issue as editor was this one, October 2015. Strangely enough, which obviously featured a gathering at Barrow Hill Roundhouse here, where we had
very appropriate.
Duchess of Sutherland as one of the star engines. So it's quite interesting that we've actually chosen to come back here all these years after my first issue. So
what do you remember about putting that issue together?
Slightly frantic, I think, because I'd never signed off a magazine before. You're always worried about whether you've left some X's somewhere in a caption that you mean to go back and fill later, whether you've got a mistake somewhere, and our readers are very, very good at spotting mistakes. We might know a lot, but there's people out there that know just a little bit more occasionally, and you do get caught out.
Yeah, we've got very knowledgeable readers.
You can't know everything, of course. I think the fact that leading up to this issue, I knew 3 or 4 months in advance I was going to be taking over, so at least I've got time to plan and sort of get in there some of the features that I wanted to, like rebirth of a big boy, which was a feature that obviously was about the big American steam locomotive, and the opening of the Hitachi factory at County Durham. Again, another very, very big story to sort of kick off, and it was very pleasing to actually get these sort of big key stories in my first issue. And we've gone on from there, and obviously the royal opening for the Borders Railway, which was another massive £300 million project that as people criticised it at the time, saying, "Oh no, it won't pay," but it's obviously been a fantastic success. Amazing.
That was 6 years ago. Time flies, isn't it?
It does, yes.
So we got a selection of magazines from over the years. Here's a copy of issue 1. We've changed a lot in format since then. We've got bigger.
It's got bigger, more pages, more pictures.
Bigger in size. But kind of essentially the same in some ways. There's a whole mixture in there of news, features and interviews, and that's very much something we still do now, isn't it?
I think one of the things where the magazine has changed is in the early years, certainly up until the 20s, they seemed to focus a lot on personalities within railway companies and focus on what the railway companies were doing. There were some sections called that, where we seem to have gone a bit, obviously, down the news road, and we've got more news snippets and things like that, because there is a lot more happening. I remember reading Railway magazine as a youngster when it was sort of this format in the 70s, with that style cover. And that's really when I really became interested in it, and that's 1999.
That's kind of where I came in. Well, that's a little bit after I started. I started as a reader in the early 80s, so just slightly before this one.
Yeah, you see, I'd been working on the magazine 9 years by that time, with Pete Kelly and then later Nick, and again we saw a lot of changes over that 9 years, because by this time the internet had started to really develop. When I started in 1990, there was only one computer in the office, and that was used for doing letters to readers. wasn't used for anything else. I mean, it just sounds crazy now. I came from a computer background, which is another reason I think why Pete recruited me, because he could see it was going down the computer route and he wanted somebody who knew what they were doing. But at the time, we would type out our stories and print them out on a dot matrix printer, if you can remember those.
Oh, yes.
Pete would then go through it and then he would put all these subbing marks on and change, to get it to style. And then what we would then do, what I would do then, is incorporate his amendments into a file, and then that file, or the disk, a little 3 1/4 floppy disk, was then sent off to the typesetters.
Right.
And we would get back what were called galley proofs, which are long strips of the text with all the headlines in and subheads and things like that. And we'd got layout sheets, and these were sort of, A2 size layout sheets with a complete grid of the magazine on. And we used to cut these galley strips up and use Prit and stick them on.
Yeah, cut and paste, that's where those terms come
absolutely.
from.
And it seems incredible that we've gone from that in 30 years to the fact that we can take a picture today, we can email it to the office, and it can be in the page, within minutes. And it's just, it's certainly made our job a lot simpler.
Yeah, definitely. And in terms of stories, well, that's 1990s issue. We were still in British Rail days then, weren't we?
Yes, we were, yes. I think. Were we? We were just coming out of it, weren't we? Privatisation was the mid-90s.
Mid-90s.
So we were just, but we were certainly in the train operating company era.
Yeah. And then to come, well, up to date, now we're talking about Great British Railways.
Well, yes, this latest issue, the June issue, 2 whacking great big stories in it. The Great British Railways announcement, and also the cracks that they found in the Hitachi trains. The fantastic IETs that Hitachi have built, and they found these hairline cracks in them. If we look back in history, there are not a lot of fleets that have been introduced without faults and problems.
No.
People remember problems with Class 158s where they would make a station stop and then the doors wouldn't close again and nobody could get the doors closed, and they ended up terminating trains.
Yes. Pacers are another classic.
Pacers, yeah.
Everybody hated Pacers, but...
And all the problems they had even in steam days with the Bully Pacifics as well. So, what we've experienced, although it's quite significant and it's quite disruptive, is not new. But, you would think that the chances of it happening now are obviously a lot lesser.
Yes, and we've probably covered it all in these near 125 years of issues, haven't we? Yeah. Yes,
1,400 and something issues over the years, yes. So as the incoming editor, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I mean, you can't make it in Barrow really. It's I'll be looking to continue the mixture that we already have of covering everything, steam, diesel, electric. Our readers love the comprehensive coverage that we have. Be a mix of news and nostalgia.
And I think that's the challenge, isn't it? It's getting that balance, getting that mix. And
yes.
And I think the fact that we're supported by a good team and an expert band of authors who come up with some of the ideas for these features really helps.
Yeah, and not for nothing, we're known as a journal of record.
Yes.
Again, because of we go back 125 years.
Yeah.